Hey everybody, and welcome to a heartwarming Wild Ride with Steve-O. Yeah, man, you wouldn't expect to feel so good on this one, but man, get ready to. Because this is a guy, Dane Cook, who really looked out for me, man, really took me under his wing, really helped me out, and I'm just happy to call him a friend. We have great laughs, we reveal a lot of juicy, interesting stuff, and it just makes you feel good. You know what else makes me feel good? Man, my mattress. Right here on my tour bus, if you lay down on that bed over there, you're not going to want to get off of it. Why? Because it came from helixsleep.com. And when you go to helixsleep.com/Steve-O, you get up to $200 off of every mattress order, and with every mattress order they throw in 2 free pillows. And I don't know if you've heard statistics on bed bugs, mites, stuff like this, disgusting mattresses. It's important to change your mattress, and it's important to get it from helixsleep.com, because when you get there, you take a very simple 2-minute quiz, and they match you up with the ideal mattress for you. And you might not even know what the ideal mattress for you is unless you go to helixsleep.com/Steve-O for that up to $200 off of any mattress order and 2 free pillows. They hooked me up on my tour bus, at my house, at my warehouse. I only sleep on mattresses from helixsleep.com, and you should too. So jump on that deal and let's get into it.
What's the best way to...
Is that fucking... God damn it.
I'll figure it out. You have any glue?
These fucking...
You have an electrician?
I love Vinny like was keyed in with me. Glue? He's like, glue? What kind of glue? Elmer's? Crazy? Gorilla? Somebody hit me with another glue and I'll fucking give you $10,000 cash. I have it in my car.
Crazy glue.
No, we won't with
Oh,
it.
you said crazy. Fuck. yeah, dude.
Right. Here we go.
You know what? It's close enough.
Whatever. Like that?
I think that's great.
Is that legal?
I think that looks great.
Wendy, you happy with that?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dane Cook. Yeah, dude.
What's up, man?
So you met Scott,
Yep.
my co-host.
Yeah.
This is a long time coming, man. Like, you were one of the first guys that I wanted to get on here. Because you've been so generous with your time, with your support, and really without you, I would not have launched into a comedy career the way that I did. And
Have you ever... Do people really know, like, how that kind of transpired and where we ended up yapping?
Well, I never shut up about it.
Oh,
so.
I've heard fragments and flecks, and I was always like so moved that you acknowledged that we had that time. But I don't know if I've ever really held court with you to talk about like how that night was meaningful for both of us, because I was also in a very convoluted place in my life and time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just to give people the cliff notes, it was when the first tiny rumblings of the press machine revved up for the Jackass 3D movie.
Yep.
That movie came out in, I want to say, October, but we're back like a few months before that in like maybe August, maybe even July. 2010. And I showed up for this Young Hollywood at the Four Seasons Hotel. They had a whole suite rented out, using it as a studio. They were cycling people through, doing interviews. And when I showed up for mine, they said, "Oh, dude, Dane Cook's in there. Go ahead and just barge right into his interview. It'll be hilarious."
Yeah.
So I walk in. By the way, we found footage of this, too.
Did they say barged, by the way? That's usually not the word that they tee you up with, right? Hey, you should pop in and say hi, but usually barge. Maybe for you it's barged.
Yeah. So I go in, I sit down. It was the first time we ever met. It was a pleasant experience. And I said, dude, Dane, I've done stand-up a couple times, and it's something I really want to dive into. And you said, great, cool. Next week we'll get you up on stage. And, like, I figured after the interview was over, maybe, like, you would just, it was great to say that on camera, but sure enough.
Lip service Hollywood.
Yeah.
When the cameras
I got enough of it to know
on,
I didn't want to be that, but...
Yeah, when the cameras were no longer rolling, you were like, yeah, seriously, man, here, let me give you my number, and let's plan this out.
Yeah. Because I quickly identified something that we talked a little bit about, which was I knew a lot of people that were very talented that wanted to figure out how to recalibrate to stand up. And sometimes in the community, that's like really frowned upon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, they think, this is what they think, a lot of people in the community. You're a really good drummer, but you want to play guitar? Who the fuck do you think you are?
Right.
And I assume if you're good at one instrument, you're probably good at entertaining people, maybe in a couple of other instruments. And I had also gone through the same thing of like, I came up in kind of like a way that I broke ahead of a pack. And because I was using this new social media element, I was somehow not legitimate. I was hitting a button and
that's interesting.
Circumventing. So by the time this dude comes in the door, and I'm a bit of an energy vibe guy myself, I was like, oh, I identify that. I know where this guy's at. And also, I'd known like guys like Bert Kreischer, who I was telling you I sat at a Hojo's in Times Square in '95. And he was coming out of a time when he was the Rolling Stones, the Machine,
Mm-hmm.
Party Animal.
and comics were being shitty to him. Like, he's not one of us. He's not legit. He came from a hype article or something. So I was like, I was like, I'm a fan, and I felt like you were really sincere in that moment, and I wanted to just return that sincerity.
Well, dude, I appreciate it so much, and I remember every bit of it. Like, I spent the next week just writing material. I was even going to like these hole-in-the-wall open mics to practice it.
Yep.
I was, rehearsing it, writing it, rewriting. Spent that whole week just like coming up with this crappy little set. And, we showed up at the Hollywood Improv. You went on, and I think it was like Sarah Silverman, and then you, and then me, and I just couldn't have been more nervous. I did my set. I remember my first joke was, I've been clean and sober since Johnny Knoxville pulled an intervention on me. And you know you have a problem when your interventionist is Johnny Knoxville. And, it was what it was. I did this thing, and then what was crazy was that after...
Which for me...
It was funny.
Not only funny, but, like, my brain always goes to, like, if there's truth in your whatever... I respond to that even more than if you said something very funny that was only observational.
Mm-hmm.
Like, response is the response, but like you were saying something really real within the shell of something humorous. So that was cool.
That's how it's been like all along. It's just been like 100% like my reality.
How comedians get pissed when you come on and become a comedian from acting. Do actors get pissed when you are a comedian then you become an actor? I mean, is it kind of the same thing? Or are they like, hey, welcome?
No, in fact, like when I just very quickly, when I dovetailed into some dramatic stuff or stuff away from comedy, they were, if anything, people were excited, like, oh, you're going to bring an element to this scene or this script
That's crazy.
Maybe we didn't, you're doing something dramatic, but if we need something comedic, they kind of look to you, go like, you probably have an idea.
Right.
But the comedy world, as you now know, there's a lot of thorn patches, and there's, it's more competitive than what you would see exterior, as far as like, you think it's a community of just funny people just
shooting
championing.
shit.
It's just not.
Right.
I wanted it to be that too for the longest time, but it's just not. And so you can when you find somebody who keys into you and is like, take a breath, come back. Somebody said to me really recently, dude, I've been getting beat up by so many kind of comics, and I think I'm going to quit. And I was just like, just do me a favor. Don't quit tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
Based on this conversation, give it another night, give it one more shot. You'll feel a little differently with some new inspiration or whatever. But that moment, and 2 years later, have you and I talk about it and acknowledge it. I said it last night, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, man. Look what you've done. You're so entrepreneurial. And I'm sure a lot of those people that maybe or maybe not are in your book are probably thinking like, man, I wish I had been more of a friend of that guy.
So Dane's the reason why I have a tour managing job too.
Yeah.
Well,
What?
well, thank you.
Yeah. Also, real quick before you tell me that story, I'm the one who released Wendy. I would just let dogs out of the van and hope
Peru.
that maybe they found love in Peru. And so, Wendy, you're welcome, and Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
No, I'm his tour manager, and so like that he brought me on like 9 years ago. So
Got it.
because
Yeah.
he's a stand-up
By
comedian.
proxy, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
cool. That's very nice, man. I love that.
Yeah. So I do the first set. And now keep in mind, Dane did his set, then he introduced me, and then I did my set.
Oh, we were tag team that
Yeah.
night. Oh,
tag-
shit.
you-
Okay.
You brought me on, and with vicious cruelty. Like I had left, I had left a bottle of water on the piano at the Improv, and you were like, does anybody like have like a hazmat suit to remove this something or other like
Anybody want herpes?
that it was like every like without fail like on stage Dane would be like just vicious
Yeah. The
vicious
hazing of
cruelty.
love that you only get from a comic that really cares about you.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
but then he gets off stage, watches me perform my set, actually cared to pay attention to it. And then when I got off stage, we sat down in the restaurant adjoining the Improv, and I'll never forget it. Like, I sat down, and Dane said, all right, I'm not sending you back to the drawing board. And I was, like, processing. I was like wait, okay. So, like, he said, what I'm concerned with is your delivery, more than your material. Your material is, like, working, just you're so like tense and like nervous, and I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I was nervous, like
Right.
Thank God.
yeah, fuck yeah, I was nervous.
Right.
And he was like, I need you to relax, relax.
Did you film it?
Yeah, well, just relax, like be more conversational.
Right.
Be more conversational. It's just you
Right.
you
You
gotta
don't have to be the thing people know of you or think you are. You
Right.
have to have some showmanship, but I was really just trying to tell him, like, dude, you're fucking revved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get revved. Years ago, Metallica said, when somebody asked, why are you now doing more ballads? He goes, the hard stuff rocks harder when you slow it down a beat. And it was like,
Wow.
I took that into consideration in my own career. And I think I was trying to let you know that, like, you can't come
Yeah.
out of the gate at fucking...
Well, yeah, and it was. You said you wanted to seem to be conversational. Like, don't make it be so much of a performance, but rather that you're talking like
Yeah,
in a natural
I
way to
remember.
the audience.
Yeah, trying to tell you, like, you can build into performance pieces, but sometimes, like, in the own narration of your act, you gotta, like, that's when you can, like,
Yeah.
cool down a little bit.
Did
And
you
that was
film
a
your set?
I did. That was a Wednesday night. And I was just so energized that you had been supportive, that you had been like what you told me put so much wind in my sails that I arranged for that Friday night, 2 nights later, to be at the Laugh Factory to go work on this material some more.
Yeah.
And it just so turned out that it was you, and then it was me.
Right.
We repeated the same exercise. So after my
I was like,
set,
put him on after me. I want him to learn everything all at once.
Yeah.
So it was the same thing. That night, I come off stage and we sit down together, and you said, okay, now you're too relaxed. Now you just look straight fucking lethargic.
Shit, really?
He said, now you look straight fucking lethargic. You got to remember, this is a performance, like you got to be an animated version of yourself,
Right.
because I was trying to relax. You're like relaxing too much. And it was, then the next night, Saturday night, we fucking did it again. It was like this every fucking night on, we did it regularly.
Yeah, we did.
And you always took the time to watch my shit and sit down and give me notes, and it meant the world. It truly did mean the world to me to have Dane Cook pay attention and care about me getting into stand-up. And it also meant the world to me that he sent me this special link to watch the special that he just taped at his house. Man, I loved it. This story about the stalker that he dealt with is it's equally funny as it is scary, and I really recommend checking it out. You know what else I recommend is taking care of your health. Man, your diet. Your gut health, your brain. You know how I do that? With Athletic Greens. AG1 from Athletic Greens. It's comprehensive, convenient, daily nutrition. And it's delicious. You put a scoop of it into a pint of water in the morning. That gets you hydrated. That fills in the gaps in your diet if you're not eating enough greens. And I am guilty of that from time to time. Man, it helps, like I said, with your gut health, with your cognitive abilities. It's just really good for you. athleticgreens.com. And why is it so good? Because it's loaded with 75 different vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, adaptogens, probiotics. It's got it all, and man, it's really a good idea for you to try it. If you go to athleticgreens.com/Stevo, they're going to give you 5 comprehensive, convenient travel packs with all of the nutrition you need for those 5 days, plus an entire year's supply of immune-boosting vitamin D. That is, if you go to athleticgreens.com/Stevo, you're going to get that with your first order. So why not jump on this deal? One more time, go to athleticgreens.com/Stevo, and let's get back to it.
Hardest part about like when you're a comic, especially once you've made it and people go like, what should I do? And my whole thing is like, it's not so much me telling you, I'm trying to always protect your integrity. When I mentor even comics now, I'm like, I'm not going to tell you how to be funny. I'm not going to tell you to take that out or add that in. I'm just going to try to help you to figure out in some way the fundamentals to get to whatever the truth is that you are. Because that's what they're going to respond to, even more than the jokes. Believe it or not, the jokes are not what it's musicality. It's I've got a secret. I'm going to let you know what it is in a second. Hold up. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of things happening under the surface. I came up watching a guy, Johnny Carson, on The Tonight Show. When a joke went bad, that's when he was fucking amazing. When the crowd didn't react.
It's like a facial expression. Like,
it was like, oh, that's where you're alive. Not in the formulaic stuff that you've prepared.
Yeah.
In the moments that something happens, somebody drops the glass, and then maybe somebody gets to know you within that moment. So I was getting to see you in real time. And again, like, I want to be like, recognizing pretty quick that like, I really wanted to give you some genuine love and friendship. I just felt something from you. Maybe I even probably knew a little bit of your story to understand kind of like where you were coming from. But I remember night to night, whenever we could shoot the shit about it, I was always like, my goal tonight with Steve-O, middle name Gilchrist.
Yeah, dude.
wow.
is I always wanted to call him that, by the way. I was like, I don't call him Steve-O. See, I want to call him Gilchrist. Was to try to tell him a little something that I recognized that was good, and maybe something that was like, all right, that needs a little bit of...
Yeah, I mean, because let's be clear, like, I was doing this basically for the first time.
Yeah.
I wasn't destroying.
He was floundering. No. He was recognizable, and it was like he had a lot more work to do than somebody who's brand new.
Yeah.
Because they had assumptions.
He made me go up in front of 2,000 people.
Did he really?
I forced him to just.
He's like, don't worry, if you bomb, we'll film the entire thing.
Yeah, but you were saying that at that time that you were in
Yeah.
What'd you say? A convoluted place.
Yeah, here's what you didn't know, which was like 2010. Okay, so like quick version was like I gone through like the death of both of my parents right around 05, 06. And then I go through this terrible situation with my brother. I had to put my brother in prison for, let's just say, bad management.
Yeah, we didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, like, if I bring it up, it means, like, I'm cool to talk about it kind of thing. And then I went through the cool down of my everything was coming, like, the period of cool down in a career. And that was at the end of it. And then I was also getting smashed by comics that now I can say at 50, what I probably couldn't say then without maybe looking bad. Like, a lot of jealousy, a lot of animosity that I, at a young age, was famous, hanging around with beautiful women, rich, and there was a lot of, and I learned years later, and I can actually confirm that a lot of these same people came to me years later. I was just really fucking like, I was frustrating. I wanted to have more of what you had. Anyway,
I mean, dude, you were selling out.
It was a 10-year run, man. It was 10-year run of like everything I could have wanted to have happen in the world of stand-up, and then all these things beyond it. And by 2010, I was like, you know what? I never want to do to other comics, especially, because I love comedy and comedians, but I was so hurt by them. I was so fucking like let down in some ways by the comedy community. Not the guys I came up with. I came up with Burr, Patrice, Gulman, Bobby Kelly. Like, I had a pod of love from the graduating class, but beyond it, there were so many like preconceived notions of who I was. And I was getting, at first it was a little fun because you're like, oh, I'm kind of like, I'm the target. And then it got like kind of ugly. And then things were like unnecessarily pinned on me. By 2010, I was so hurt in like disenfranchised that I was like, I could either go into myself and just like take what I've earned and go somewhere and be like, fuck everybody. I was like, or I can just like for the next generation of comics, not be that which was to me. And that was a major moment in my life where I was like, I truly felt after talking to him and then a couple of times later being like, I'm going to do this for everybody I can. I make myself available as, I'm not really quite a mentor. I'm not at that age yet, but like, I'm not going to fucking reject anybody the way I've been rejected. And I don't to this day. And that's why we got to cheers on it last night to be like, dude, we overcame a lot of slings and arrows to be in a very healthy and, well-adjusted spot, man.
Yeah, how can you say you're not a mentor? You're the best of the best. Teaching people, like that's a mentor, right? And what age do you think you become a mentor at?
I don't think I was ready to I don't think at that period, if you'd given me any other award to say like now you're a provider of this, I was actually rejecting certain things that I was earning with my hard work because I was like, I'm so tired of being a target. I just don't even want any spotlight on me at this time. I was actually rejecting certain places where I probably would have enjoyed myself more because I literally was like just tired of the spanking machine that I was dealing with. And it took a lot of great, reflection, great therapy to finally know like, oh no, I know what my purpose, I know where my place is then. And I definitely know where my place is now.
Yeah, it gets tired shoveling money all day.
I hired somebody to do it. What do you think? I shovel my own money?
Sadly, it was his brother.
that was more like that was a plow.
Yeah.
I wish it was just a shovel.
Yeah.
That was gnarly.
You were if I'm not mistaken, the most prolific MySpace. What do you call it?
Tom.
Yeah, I mean, you were like, you had
TikTok 1.0 was like MySpace, right?
Yeah.
The first place to go viral really was MySpace.
Right. I mean, how big of catalyst for your comedy was the MySpace?
It was like, okay, so leading up to MySpace was like, I see this internet thing happening. I'm on things like AOL Instant Messenger, and I'm trying to share my screen name. And I'm kind of seeing like, oh, wow, this is like, I'm finding people. Like somebody in South Dakota is like, I'm following you. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I don't think I'll ever go there. Maybe I don't know if I'll ever tour there. I'm writing this person. I'm doing that for a couple of years, and then MySpace hits, and I'm like, let me put on a page and link everybody on that Instant Messenger, which now you'd say DM, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll put it all on there, and I kind of had a hub and invited everybody on there. Within a couple of weeks, I had 2,500 people. Now, here's what's funny. The month before, I was in a rut. I was super miserable. I literally called my mother. I was like, I don't know why I'm even out here anymore because everything I thought was going on is not.
In LA?
In LA. Yeah, a couple of things that I thought were like sparkly, dulled. And I had a couple of little hits on TV, but for the most part, except for doing college gigs, Hollywood was not saying like, you're up. Mm-hmm. It was like, no, we already have somebody kind of sort of like you. And I brought no data, really. I didn't have a TV show, nothing successful except like I could show you receipts of tour tickets. So I'm like, my mom and I talk, and she's like, why don't you just keep doing that thing where you're like, conversating with people? That's kind of unique. That's kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, this new thing, MySpace. I get on there. I take my 2,500 people. And one night I come home from the Laugh Factory and I spend the whole night. I think I probably respond to 2,500 people. Like, welcome to the, by their name. Hey, Carla in Iowa. I saw it's your birthday last week. Happy birthday. Here's a link. And I start sending people. I spend the whole night.
A link to what?
Like some comedy, MP3 comedy. Okay. I uploaded. Sorry. Excerpt. Right. A couple days later, I'm dating this girl, Cassidy. I remember Cassidy comes down into the office and she hears me laughing. And she's like, she comes down, she's like, what's up? And I was like, this. I go, look at this. I go, it's 3,800 people in like, 12 hours? And now these new people are like, I just got your link and I'm watching. 3 weeks later, it's 6,000 or 7,000. That same girlfriend, she walks in and she goes, keep in mind, I was miserable, 5 weeks before? Like, no clue what my path forward was. And I'm sitting with my arms behind my head. I'm just like sitting in my fucking underwear with some Fruit Loops. And I'm looking at the computer. She goes, what is going on in here? I go, I'm about to take over the world. Nice. She goes, you are? And I was like, this nobody realizes. And I was telling people, I wasn't even keeping it like covert. I was going to the clubs and be like, do this.
Right.
Try this out. And those same comics, we're going to go party. Kind of dismissed me. I go home every night for 4 years. I shook every hand digitally with every fan and sent links to pretty much every single person until I had millions of followers and could not do it anymore.
Man. And
Madison Square Garden, 1 click.
Wow.
2 shows sold out. 1 click. I'm there on this date. And after that, nothing was the same again in my life or career.
How many people shows up at Madison Square Garden?
That's
2 shows
15,000,
of,
right?
yeah, little 18.5 or something like that. In the round, though, it was like full, like almost 20,000.
Right. It was called the Vicious Circle.
That was the rough round. Yeah, Vicious Circle. Vicious Circle was first.
And what were you doing before Madison? Like, how big a venue before that? Like
Before that, college gigs, like I kind of hit like a maybe 2,800.
So you went from 2,800, 20,000.
2,800, maybe like a 3,000 or 4,000 ready. Then Penn State, which I started filming everything for what was then known as webisodes, like little clips, excerpts. And so I brought a camera crew and I filmed 1 month of touring with Bobby Kelly, Gary Gulman, Jay Davis. And I filmed something that I thought was just going to be free webisodes and ended up getting Vicious Circle from HBO. Chris Albrecht was at HBO, offered me my first special. He's like, what are you going to do? I go, I'm going to do this tour and try to drum up some more fans. By the time I got to Penn State, they called me up. It was supposed to be 3,800, 4,000 people. They said, we just moved your show to the Field House. 12,000 people are here. And I filmed it. So I have that night on film. I go and I see Chris Albrecht. He goes, what are you going to do now that you're done with the tour? I said, I got 400 hours of footage for fucking free webisodes that I need to edit. And he goes, pop one in. I had him in a duffel bag. I throw it in. Chris Albrecht, HBO, he goes, this is like a show. Yeah, I go, we didn't film it like a show. We just filmed everything. He goes, cut it up into 8 episodes. I'll buy this right now. We'll put this on, call it whatever you want to call it, Tourgasm.
Yeah,
and then
that's
it aired
what it
before
was.
Vicious Circle.
Did you do that with New Wave / Comedy Dynamics?
That's right. Well, I was with Barry Katz at the time, and I think he had folded into that company.
Right.
Yeah. It was right around that time. I think they'd joined forces.
Because I remember being at New Wave and seeing that.
Yeah, it was right around that time. But I was already, like, honestly, my philosophy was already so different from a traditional business route that even then I was already looking and thinking, like, I don't want to depend on, I could do this myself.
Right.
They were asking me what to do because I knew more about tech, probably similar to the way you are now. I'm asking you questions now going like, hey, who do you use for your blah, blah, blah? It's like I was in the know and nobody else really was.
By the way, he wants to set up his...
merch operation?
Not merch operation. I don't know. We didn't talk about merch, but his
Eventually.
special. We had this great...
Oh, yeah.
We had this great conversation at dinner last night about owning our own shit.
Yeah.
We love
That's the future.
Yeah, we love owning our own shit.
100,000%.
Yeah.
Yes. And we don't even need to get into it, but I've read every deal, every contract, and I think we can all agree.
Well, yeah.
It's like, if you can do it yourself, you should.
Well, it's that we have a friend that has a cooking show that's killing it, and then the Food Network approaches them, and they're like, okay, we'll offer you this. It's like half of what he's making, and he can't say the F word. It's like, why would I go with you? They're like, yeah, we don't know why you would want to go with us.
I just don't like in stand-up where they want to take a piece and then they go, can you take this line out? Can you change this?
Yeah.
Can you open with this instead? And it's like, no.
And they're not even comedians.
Right. And you're like, no.
Yeah.
I get it and you don't. And especially like live comedy that you film, then when it goes on television, it's like, that's not the same show. It's absolutely completely different because the energy is different from a viewing audience at home. So you need to actually know when you're even filming it. This is how I want it interpreted later. Like you should be thinking of like the edits and the cuts, and I know how this should be presented. So even more so, like, get your hands off this. I know what my fans of however many years are interested in.
Yeah.
So I just hope it's ushering in a new era now with what we're doing.
Right. And so now would be
autonomy.
Now would be a great time to talk about your most recent special.
Yeah.
Which has
Above it all.
had its it was a 2-week window for the platform called Moment.
I think by the time your fans see this, it'll be probably on danecook.com, but it's on Moment now. Moment.co.
So we're still in that 2-week window.
I extended it a little bit because we're having a good run, and then it'll go back to my website probably. Again, I don't know where this airs, but anytime right now it'll be at danecook.com.
This airs on
This is live.
1 week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow will be
October 26th.
It'll be the last day of Moment, and then it reverts back to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, help us understand the difference. If you're a fan trying to consume your special, do people look at their watch and say, wow, they got this the day it came out? Do I hurry up to get to Moment? Maybe, what's the difference in? Yeah,
the whole thing with Moment that really I thought was so ideal was it reminded me of a modern day pay-per-view, like the internet version of it, to where it's like, all right, you have a special online, people want to come in, but you want them to see it the way you want to see it in real time, and you also don't want to not get the most important part, which is the data of who's watching my special. And this is where you lose across the board outside of your own website or a place like Moment, which is if you do any streamer, they will not let you know numbers, retention, region, demo, nothing. You get nothing. It doesn't matter who you are, too. It's like Ben Stiller's complaining about I can't get my numbers from Severance on Apple. So they're not in the business of sharing that, because that would probably be leveraging a better deal for yourself, later on. So with a place like Moment, the 2 weeks or 3 weeks ends, and you get a data sheet with all the emails, maybe phone numbers, everything.
Moment also keep those emails, or is it
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I'm sure they have it in their database. They kind of want to be they're looking at we're Young Turks in the Ticketmaster-ish lane, where they want to aggregate and build up so that they can then probably tell all their fans, hey, Steve-O's got a thing this week and Dane Cook's got a thing next week.
Yeah.
They want to be able to cultivate that fan base with you.
So they're not just in the actual digital media side of it. They're actually participating somehow in ticket sales on tour?
Not really yet. I don't think they have that full bandwidth in place. Right now, they set up that opportunity, take their fee. There's no ownership over your content. There's nothing to do with your IP is your IP. All they're taking is a couple of dollars off of whatever you set the charge to be, to keep it on their server, to have robust chats happening in real time if people want to do that. The experience has been really, really great. And the quality of it has been really, really well received. Is
the price on Moment the same as what it will be at DaneCook.com?
It'll probably be $20 at DaneCook.com, because I want to throw in some extra. I might be signing everything. I throw in I like to always throw in secret swag where you don't really know what you're going to get with it. Mm-hmm. So probably a little bit of an uptick. But I thought 15 was fair, especially when I saw Andrew Schultz, who had also gone the Moment route, and I thought I just think that that's a good number for what they're providing here, especially with the $2 tag on. So it was right. $17.
Is it downloadable when you do it?
Not on their page. Through me, it will be. You'll have that option, but on Moment, it's just on their service site, and you can watch it for as long as the moment is a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, you can watch it for a moment.
So the streaming license does not outlive the window that...
Correct. Yeah, at the end of that 14 days, it's just reverts to you. Over. And then they even said the next day you can put it on YouTube, you can give it away, you can do whatever you want on day 15.
Andrew Schultz heard that and he said, cool, we'll do.
Right, because he was like YouTube the very next afternoon.
One could argue that that the people who paid $15 to watch Andrew Schultz's special woke up, saw it on YouTube the next day, and were maybe a little bit pissed.
Yeah, but people like to get shit first, I think that there's a premium for being able to talk about it.
Maybe not. Plus, the viewership he's gotten on YouTube is staggering.
I would beg to guess that with him, that purchase was also a show of do we want to put you on the map? That was a show of support versus. Right. If, somebody who's, Bill Burr did that, he'd be like, Bill, did you know 2 weeks later you're going to just give it away? Somebody like Schultz at that pivotal moment of his come up, even though he's been coming up for a while, that really took him to another media level. I thought it was a smart play.
It was,
his operation is impressive.
It was very,
Very.
Yeah, we went to his studio, and he's got a whole crew of people.
Yeah.
And he couldn't be nicer.
I was going to say, and a good dude. I mean, texted him from the minute, gave him his flowers and said, dude, congrats. And he, we've kept in touch. He's a good guy. You're rooting for him, and that's why his fans are supporting him wherever he goes.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah, all of his people were, very accommodating, and, that's how you know good people.
Yeah. Doesn't he look like the extra in every 70s movie, though? Doesn't he look like the guy who comes in with a tip or information, right?
Yeah.
There's just something about him, like, man, it's like, he's like Nicholson in The Shining, like where he's in the picture at the very end. It's like, I bet there's like 50 pictures of Schultz in the 70s.
Yeah, for sure. He's reincarnated.
It's fascinating what's going on in the fucking world, man. Like,
well, some of these networks better get their shit together, or they're going to be out of business.
Skin in the game.
Yeah,
they need to be like more like smaller windows, quicker, revert to IP to the artist.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to miss this bus. That's
right.
it. I mean, I have people. I won't name names, but I had certain people write like, "Why didn't you meet with us first?" And I was like, "Because I know your contracts, and they're like, that's not advantageous to me." Right. Or my fans who maybe at this point don't want to buy your streamer because they don't feel like there's the value in it the way they did. And I'd rather them just pay one-time fee, can be, come to my gig and...
Yeah, well, I mean, some of these fucking, like, shows, like, I mean, how many views does Comedy Central get? You know what I mean? What, 400,000
right.
at most?
If, and then after it's had its little push, it just evaporates and no one can find it.
I'll tell you, I love what Spotify's doing right now. And actually, quick plug is my album goes on Spotify this week as well.
And this is the name of this is
Above It All.
Yeah, Above It All.
And what I like about Spotify is you can download Spotify for Artists, and that is a companion app. It just goes right to your page and it shows you in real time everybody watching, who's whatever. All that data is in real time updating, and that's kind of exciting to like log in and be like, this is where everybody's enjoying this piece of content right now. I love that.
Is the audio version exclusive to Spotify?
That and Apple iTunes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dude, so speaking of business, right? Like, is there another comedian who had the tenacity, the entrepreneurial spirit to rent arenas themselves? Like, has anybody ever done that? And what was that even like? Dane Cook might not say this, but I will. It was baller as hell what he did with the renting arenas. And he's about to tell us how much money he made, and it's ridiculous. You know what else is ridiculous and not in a good way? The way that plastic is destroying the world. Have you heard about what's going on in the ocean? They got like a big block of plastic the size of Texas. Who knows how big it is now? I'm telling you, plastic is not good, man. And there's a company that's bringing death to plastic. It's called Liquid Death. This is a water company. They've got your mountain spring water from the Alps. It's great water. It comes in infinitely recyclable aluminum cans, and man, is this company fun. They make sure that their infinitely recyclable aluminum cans look just like tall boys of beer. They got kids coming home from school where they're in trouble because the teacher thinks they're drinking beer in class. The company loves it. It's a lot of fun. I'm an ambassador of Liquid Death. I fully support this company, and they fully support the listeners of the Wild Ride podcast by offering you an incredibly generous deal where no matter how much water or merch you order from liquiddeath.com/Stevo, you get free shipping. It's crazy. Like, shipping, especially water, that costs a lot, but they don't make you pay at all. Free shipping for all of your orders of water and merch. And their merch is hilarious too. So go to liquiddeath.com/Stevo for free shipping on all your stuff, and feel good about how you're both saving the world by bringing death to plastic and being a healthier person by drinking more water. Throw away the soda. Drink Liquid Death. Yeah, dude, it's liquiddeath.com/Stevo. Now, let's hear about all this money Dane Cook made.
The first time I rented arena was mid to late 2000s, and it was really because after everything that happened with my brother, I was in a real bind, and I had everybody in my it's funny, I had accounting and people in my accounting who almost very quickly were like, don't need us anymore. I mean, that's how set back I was. It was almost like, we don't need to do any accounting with you because you're kind of at, square one.
You told me last night that you had just bought a house, and they were like, "Hey,
you're gonna
have to get out of that house."
Yeah, it was 2 weeks away from like paperwork being signed, and they were like, "No."
How old were you?
I have like dyscalculia, so sometimes numbers. I was 28, 29. And they were like, don't do this. Well, I was like, I am gonna keep this house. It was my dream house, and my idea was, I had some money he couldn't take that was in like some stocks that just weren't easy to just, power of attorney out. And I took $450,000, which was pretty much mostly all I had to my name. And I was like, how do you rent an arena?
Yes.
And I started calling arenas, basically just calling and finding out it's just a hall.
Right.
And when there's no game in there, it's just like, except for a couple of insurance things that you got to cover. Back then, maybe it's different now. It's just a big hall, especially B arenas.
It's a big VFW.
I found that out. So I rented, I don't remember the first two I rented, but I remember the door is mine, the merch is mine. We did some deal on the food and drinks. And at the end of the 2 nights, I'd already put like $1.8 million or something back in my pocket. And I went, all right, here's 200,000. Rent me 2 more that are within that range. And we just kept renting the B ones, or maybe even a C one here or there, packing it out. And then I kept renting them. I probably rented, honestly, like 80 arenas on my own, and just was like, by the end of the year when I saw him in court, I'd already made everything back he stole. What took me like 17 years, I pretty much banked in a year.
Unbelievable. It's so rad. I think it was Barry Katz told me about you renting arenas. Yeah. And is that a model that anybody else adopted?
No, but I know that other people, they just rented.
They're doing it now.
Yeah, but back then it was like, I knew I was of that level, and I'm like, fuck, I want to be there, but I also don't want to. I can't split with anybody. I don't want to do any I don't want to do any. I need as much as what I can retain to get my company and everything, and be like, back with my head above water. And I also just had a personal grievance against my brother that, like, just completely honest, I was like, when I see him a year from now in court, I want to fucking look at him and say, I have it all back. I just wanted to be able to say, I have it all back.
By grievance, you mean resentment?
Yeah, I had I had like a fire burning inside of me.
Was there any gratitude that if he never did that, you wouldn't start renting?
100%
yes. Dane told me that last night at dinner.
Yeah.
I mean,
he said, had that not happened, I would not have reinvented myself.
You know why I'm okay with it? Because past the betrayal and everything that breaks inside of you when somebody you love does that, betrays with love. Betrayal is bad enough. Betrayal with love. But I can actually look back and it's like, I got a lot of love from him. I had years of love with him. There was great memories. There's things that I can still look at and laugh. I used to think he rewrote my past. There was an era I was like, I couldn't look at a picture without being like, that's not the fucking guy in the picture. And then just through doing the work, and having great mentors and people around me to help me, it was like, no, I had great years with him. Everything happened the way it was supposed to happen in order for me to really feel like I was standing on my own without being shrouded in the negativity that obviously he had around me for a lot of years that I didn't know till it was gone. And once it was gone, it was like, oh wow, this is what it feels like to have clear air around you. So yeah, it's like, and I still have a great relationship with his son. I'm super close with my nephew. I love him. It's like everything that needed to come from that did.
It's crazy. So what, is your brother still in prison now?
No. Okay, he served like 5 or 6 of 8 years, and then he was released, and I've never talked to him since. He's my assistant.
He's your poor guy.
Yeah.
He learned a little bit on that comedy tour, man. The time you jumped right on the right spot.
So is there in like the justice system for that situation, is there like restitution, or do they just say, oh yeah, a fuck ton of money, we don't expect you could ever pay it back? So
it's like there's all these promises and restitution and like the 48 charges or whatever that he was brought up on, equals like $1 a month that you get back at some point somewhere. But I honestly looked at that and I was like, whatever the punishment is, give it to him. But there's nothing from that I need anymore.
Right.
Would you ever see him again and be like, dude, we're cool?
I will tell you this, because I have to be careful what I talk about at this point. I'm working on a documentary with a great group of people right now, and it's really about that era, the highest of highs of how did I do, what's my philosophy and how did I get there and stand up? And really, what is the cool, fun, funny shit that happened? And then the other side is talking about my brother. It's like the Empire Strikes Back of comedy series. And if I do it right, and if I answer your question in some regard, when this is on a streamer, maybe, or if it is, it should be either under comedy or true crime, or maybe both.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I want it to live. Like,
That's
dude,
great.
that was fucking funny, but that was fucked up. That's hopefully where I want it to be.
Dude, true crime is my shit.
That's mine too. Yeah.
Are you familiar with JCS on YouTube?
No?
Oh my God.
With
No.
that YouTube you always listen to?
Yeah. It's criminal psychology. I just love all
I'll
that
dial
shit.
in on that. I watch all of that. I'm still watching like old forensics files from
Dude,
like
I'll
fucking
text you
88.
particular bangers.
Okay, cool. All right. Episode 9.
Yeah.
Do you feel like do you feel like you had a lot of, like, when you had that hate inside of you, you had a lot of like energy blocking you from like going forward in life, and then finally once you got over that, like your life started taking off again? Like, do you feel like there was some energy that held you back, and once you're able to?
Oh, for sure. I was in the undertow moment for a few years
Because
like
of that hate?
It wasn't hate. It was like humiliation.
Resentment.
It was humiliation was the number one thing, because this is tough to not. We grew up in a household that, because of my dad's alcoholism, there was a lot of humiliation attached to his behaviors, and so that was the key word. Like, we got to look like we're cool, because my mom and I were like, oh, we don't want people to be able to like take our power with this, even though we already knew, the neighborhood knew. And I think there was just a whole thing of like, I thought I'd presented myself in my life and career as like, oh, this is what self-made looks like. And then he made me look or feel at that time stupid. Like I'd made the worst decision, and I knew some people were using that, like weaponizing that and saying like, oh, you're not as smart as you have claimed to be by getting to where you did. So yeah, it was more like, it was like humiliation coupled with the inevitable come down of a career at the same moment that was all kind of like happening. So it was like, oh man, this feels even more like they're pushing me down the hill, even though I could look back later and be like, no, I had my run and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But you're back and you feel better. Like, what happened to get you to like?
Oh man, I love stand up. I love making people. I'm at my core. I just love making people laugh. I'm a very curious person, and I love getting on stage. I'm a storyteller. I love improv. I love human behavior. I like conversations that can be real and gritty. And I wanted to be able to take stand-up into more places than I had taken it. When I hit, I had like 6 tools, pretty sharp, but I was like, I'm still lacking in so many things that I wish I was better at. And it took me more years to get like, what does that mean? Like, I wanted to be more introspective. I knew some things that I needed better in my storytelling. I wanted to be more transparent about like failure equal to like, not just going up there and being like, look what I did. How cool is that? Like being able to go up and be like, here's the shit sandwich that I ate. And I ate every bite. And when you could talk about all those things, it's just such a different, it permeates the world in a different way, because now your laughter is meaningful, but your poignancy is meaningful. And then from that, all I've had the opportunity to share in like thousands of versions of this now, where it's like I've grown up with people that are like, hey man, I'm glad we keep each other in check. Your comedy keeps me in check. Your truth keeps me in check. It's just a nice place to be. And it's a nice place when you meet somebody like him, to where Gilchrist, where somebody knows, I don't want anything from you. I don't need anything from you. I just want to share a little something with you. It's a really great feeling, especially in the industry, when you meet somebody you know. That's what Jerry Lewis was for me. When I met Jerry Lewis, he became like a mentor, in many ways like a father figure. He didn't want or need anything from me. And it was just such a valuable correspondence and currency of conversation with him. And that's what I want to be able to be in my comedy, and just, in real time with anybody, with any of my relationships.
Is it safe to say that like the comedians that have risen to the level of selling out arenas, like before you, Andrew Dice Clay was at that level,
Steve Martin,
right, that comedy in arenas is like not sustainable.
Comedy arena is an event, and people come to be part of like drinks and craziness and listening to the album on the way in, and whatever happens in the room, they're going to get pieces of it, because in most places the sound is going to be questionable.
Right.
But it's an event. I always looked at every comedy, every poster was like a Dane Cook event. Comedy in a theater, definitely comedy in a club, or any comedy in the park. It's a different gear altogether. It has different poignancy, meaning, and it isn't to say that some of the people that we're now seeing that have hit those big time shows, like Fluffy, like he's an example of like he's
Stadium.
tremendously hilarious. Doesn't matter if it's small crowd or he built an act for that. I built an act for that. But for the average comic, it's not the best way to say, like, here, let me bring you into a quiet moment within that story. Like, you better go out there and you're swinging for the fences pretty much with everything in that routine on that night.
But you're not listening to hecklers in an arena.
I got hecklers.
But, like, you can't even address it, right? Because it's so right? What's the difference between a heckler at a theater and a heckler at an arena? Are you still addressing, like, hey, get this fucking guy out of here?
I was college age with college type hecklers, and they would like run up and try to fucking dive bomb the stage. I had a dude next to me take his shirt off, be like, and in front of 20,000 people, I just hear him. He's like this. He goes, "Let's trade shirts. Let's trade shirts." And they scream, and I'm like, and then security runs up and pulls down the stairs. The guy's bouncing on the stairs. What I would do, I remember, like, if somebody in the nosebleeds heckled me, dude, I would do a thing where I would look up like I could see you, and I'd be like, "Hey, dude, I'm going to get to that in a second, all right?" And I'd make you fucking believe. I do see you. I couldn't see shit. It's like I'm staring into a light. But I would do everything in my power to be like, I got to corral and keep these people, like, tethered. And then when I get off at the end, go, oh, my God, that was like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get affected by it, right?
No, but you have to let them believe. Comedy, no matter the size of the room, is all about control. They need to believe that you're at the helm. And those big shows, same thing. That'll get away from you pretty quick. And I'm sure we've seen some of those shows, too. It's gnarly.
Yeah, I mean, I describe performing comedy. It's such a fucking vulnerable art. It's like, like a painting on the wall is just so vulnerable to somebody just coming up with a marker or a can of spray paint, and it's like vandalism. So vulnerable to fucking vandalism, and that's what heckling is. People yelling shit out. They're vandalizing your performance, and it's fucking fucked. I saw Carrot Top perform in Vegas.
Yeah, great show.
A few days, dude, great show.
Great show. Yeah.
Great show.
Great guy.
Great guy. He had somebody heckle, and they're good.
Wow.
And he just goes. He goes, "Oh, hey, I'm not busy. I'm not busy right now." Like,
love it.
It was so fucking masterful and hilarious. Like, I'm not busy right now. Come on, let's talk about this.
It's so great watching a comic in that moment. What unfolds. It's the best.
Did you take notes on how to respond to a heckler? You just hear the mic drop. He's like, "Everybody hates you."
Like, if you knew how much I hate you.
And then he works a 12-step program, so then he apologizes 5 minutes later.
I love it.
Or he's like, I want this guy out of here. And then all the security guards go over to the guy. And he's like, no, wait, we can keep the guy here. And now it's just a fucking tense moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where you're at now? Because you're how many years in? It's
been 12 years since you and I did the improv that
12
night.
years in, and I mean, aside from obviously you're having incredible success, but like I said, at year 15, I still felt like there was a lot of things I didn't know. Like, where are you at in terms? I know what you're strong at, but like, where do you kind of want to grow out that experience on stage, besides not dealing with hecklers in the right way?
It's just that it accumulates over time. It builds up, and then it gets to a point where the littlest chirp, and you're like, ugh.
Or it's like you tell people not to record during the show, then right when he walks out, you just see a light fucking right at the thing.
Right. Where do I want to grow in my comedy? I would say writing, like I'm about to wrap up the tour I'm on and put together my next hour.
Yep. How many dates was it? How many dates was the tour?
Oh, this one? Shit.
Well, it was like a year, like 6 months before the pandemic.
Started this tour before the pandemic.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, I've been hitting it hard,
right.
and it's been this evolution with like bits getting kicked out and
everywhere in North America. They've been.
Yeah, we've been everywhere in North America for sure, except Boise, Idaho. I'm really challenging myself with the next hour I'm going to put together.
Okay.
Like really challenging myself to.
Did you tell them what you're gonna do?
Well, you don't want to let the cat out of the bag, I'm sure, but like,
Oh, it's out.
it is.
I mean, it's going to be called the Gone Too Far tour.
Okay.
I'm going to like obliterate the lines and go
Good.
way too far. There's like
Need more of that.
one of the tentpole bits is going to be actual breast augmentation surgery. The doctor tells me that I can go double D.
Yeah.
I'll be buying a ticket for that one, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you gonna do a meet and greet topless?
I don't know. I don't know that I'll be. I think I'm likely to be restored back to normal before the tour actually commences.
You have to sign your own tits at some point, though. That is like, that's a rite of passage.
Yeah, that's epic. But yeah, like writing for that one.
Yeah.
And I mean, just writing. You know, that's what I want to do. I want to like make it masterful.
Right.
Where like,
Sorry.
you know.
I mean,
Well, I remember like 2000. Sorry.
Same question to you. What do you want to work
I'm
on?
gonna say 2011 was a year that when I started, I was I felt like I had done so many things in terms of like what I wanted to do with physical comedy, improvisational comedy, storytelling comedy, but where I wanted to it really accentuate is I wanted to really learn stillness on stage.
Ooh.
I wanted to be able to have that. So 2011, like the first day of the year or January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, I go, I'm going to stand, plant my feet, and I'm not going to move for a fucking year. And I spent all of 2011 basically, for the most part, not even taking, like I was like challenging myself to go, I need to be able to tell everything from right here. And trust me, it was difficult. Some nights I was like, I just wanted to take it and walk or prowl the stage or do whatever. But I really hung in there because I wanted to be able to be cool in the pocket, because I knew if I could get that and get my breathing okay in that moment, then I could bring a story from like 100 down to like 0. Even in above it all, there's like 2 moments where, you know, I'm on my front porch. We filmed this at my house in the Hollywood Hills, and I let the entire thing just go down to like the sound of people listening and waiting for me to, you know, come back with whatever the next portion of the story is. And I wanted that so bad. And after that year, I could finally say that was probably the hardest thing I will ever do in comedy is learn stillness.
Damn, I'm a walker. I'm a walker.
Naturally, I love it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to do that. Not all the time, but I wanted to be able to know I could stop and just say, now let me tell you something. This is the truth. And you're not going to interrupt me. You're not going to heckle me. I just want you to hear me out on something. And now I do that, and I do it easily. But I couldn't do that in like 05. I'd still be like, I'd be like doing this shit. I'm so sorry.
Now
Wow.
you told me last night that there was a point where you wanted to film a special on your fucking front porch.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you were telling me that that's what you did.
Yeah.
Okay, so and by the way, apologies for not having been to Moment and consumed this special.
I should have. This happened so quick, though. We were at dinner last night, and then he's like, swing by. I would have sent you the link and showed it to you, but...
Yeah, last night we just had dinner, and I was like, you know what? We could probably pull this together and make it happen tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, we had a fucking day today, though.
Yeah,
so
we did.
you probably didn't have 10 minutes to yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
I filmed it on my porch at the same house that I thought I was going to lose. I actually stand in one point. Not that you would know this unless you're now understanding of it. I stood in the exact spot that I sat with my brother 2 weeks before I ended up putting him in jail, basically. He was with me. And I was like, can I buy this house? He was like, of course. He was like teeing me up for like the ultimate, like, you know, dive bomb. And so standing in the exact spot in what I think is my most kind of, for me, I guess I can say it, like, I feel very fulfilled with every element of this special. And I made sure to stand right in that spot and deliver a piece of information at some point.
So where's the audience? How many?
On my
people?
front lawn. About 1,000 people. They built rafters.
Shut up.
They built
You
rafters
serious?
on my lawn. Yeah, Marty Kullner, who directed Vicious Circle and
Fucking
Isolated.
Dude, that's insane,
Yeah.
dude.
You put your address out there for people?
It was already on fucking Google. And I knew people already had it. There was already drones that took
shit.
pictures of my shit. Zillow already fucking lowballed the price of my home. But I was like, you know, dude, I want to do something that, I wanted to do something that was bombastic and big with the drones and Marty and what I knew would look like, shooting up there with the whole Hollywood in front of me. But I also wanted it to be really small and intimate and personal. So I think it's the biggest and smallest comedy special ever created.
Dude, it sounds unbelievable to me. Did you do 2 shows?
Yeah, I did Friday night, but I nailed everything I really wanted in an hour and 40 on Friday. And Marty turns to me that night and he goes, you didn't even hiccup. It's like, you really got it. He's like, I would do 2 bits tomorrow night again and then do whatever you want. So I ran 240 the second night. And that was like a lot of great banter, pieces of material that from before the pandemic that maybe I didn't have a chance to, figure out where they belong. So I'm editing part 2 now from the same night or the second night.
And you're editing it yourself?
I paused it now because at this point I'm just trying to recoup what I spent. It's like I'm all in on my own dime. That's the other thing is like people are like, oh, do you have investor? And like, no, I own it 100% myself.
Yeah.
So do I want to start editing? Yes. Would I like to know I got a few bucks back in the till, which it's looking pretty good? Then that's where I need to start. But probably in the new year, put it together, part 2.
Your nephew ever sees your show?
Cody? Yeah. Yeah, I wanted him to come up to this. He couldn't come to this just for COVID, certain restrictions and stuff we had to do there. But yeah, he comes to my shows a lot.
Does he look like his dad?
He does.
Is it weird?
He's got maybe the first couple of times.
Yeah,
but he's such a stud. He's such a good kid, and
that's cool. You're buds with him.
Oh hell yeah! I was like, I'm not gonna let this relationship go because of
course not.
His dad's stupidity.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about movies too.
Yeah, I love doing them.
Like,
anybody who wants to throw a fucking 50-year-old dude with half a testicle in a new film, I'm ready to go.
What's a half a testicle mean?
I had an undescended ball when I was born.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so the left one was like up here, and they can't bring that down until you're like 3 or 4 years old. So the right one got big, and then by the time they pulled the left one and pouched it, the left one was like this adorable little fucking side item.
Kidney bean.
Yeah, so I got but my right ball is impressive. I wish I didn't step on that. Fuck. That's exactly it. I love film work though, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you
yeah, the grocery store movie, the
Employee of the Month
with Dax.
Yeah.
Employee, and then
a movie that you're like, I don't even know if this is going to see the light of day. Like sometimes you make, even though that was my first one, I was like, I don't know if Lionsgate was a boutique company at the time, and I was like, this is my first leading role, but I also don't know if like these things always make it out.
It was great.
Yeah, no, it's got legs, man. People write me about it every week. Oh, my family, we still watch that. We love it.
Yeah.
So
I think I saw it like 2 years ago again.
Yeah, it's a delightful movie that holds up.
What was the one with Jessica Simpson?
That's it.
That's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Employee of the Month was Simpson. Good Luck Chuck with Alba, and Kate Hudson came in and did Best Friend's Girl, and she was like comedic royalty. She was like amazingly funny.
Kate Hudson was
unbelievable.
Out of all the celebrity females that I've ever seen in my life, in real life,
Yeah.
Jessica Alba was the most beautiful human being I've ever seen in person.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely lovely.
That was
Yeah.
high praise.
Yeah.
Do you have a?
He said that like not every other man on the planet would have been like,
Yeah, but
Here you-
I've seen her in person. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
who is the best on-screen kisser?
The best on-screen kiss was probably, well, actually it was probably Kate Hudson, because we were just having so much fun on that movie, and we were real pals. She was actually dating Dax.
Oh, really?
Holy crap.
They were together, so he was hanging around, but like just our scenes were it was just well written, so kissing and then some of the crazy shit we were saying to each other in between just to make each other laugh, that was probably the best experience. Everything else feels weird, man. It always feels so intrusive and strange, and there's a guy trying to light you and telling you, like, I have a big Irish head, so it's kind of like my head next to Jessica Alba is like, I look like a fucking rock creature coming in, like, it's just all really weird until you see it, and then you're like, all right, next scene, let's go.
Yeah. Fuck, man. So, dude, I saw, when was it? Like, you were on, like, was it maybe Theo Vaughn's podcast or something, like a year or two ago? And
Yeah.
like, you were pretty big at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you've lost all this, like, what?
I lost weight.
I mean, what a shitty thing to ask.
Yeah, but you're still
No.
in shape. You're 50 and you're jacked.
No, a couple things. When I did that podcast, it's interesting because I had gained a bunch of weight for a film that never ended up happening, where I had to play like a wrestler who like was, whatever. So I put on a bunch of weight, and then I did some HGH, which I'd never done that
Human
before.
growth hormone.
Yes.
Okay.
And so then I did that, and dude, it like, well, the thing I didn't know about it is not only did it like bulk me up, but like it bulks up your facial muscles. And so it's funny because I saw that podcast recently. Now that was after I was coming off of it, but like the year before that, I almost like was unrecognizable even to myself. But I also just didn't feel, when I put the weight on, that movie went away and never ended up, COVID like absolutely canceled it. But then I was like, I want to get in the best shape of my life heading to 50. So I started swimming every day. I have a swim tether, and I do like an 800 to 1,000 calorie swim every morning. And it like, I'm probably down about 25 pounds in the last like,
you
weeks.
look
weeks,
fantastic
man.
right now.
Oh, thanks, bud. I feel good.
Why didn't you do TR, like testosterone? Why'd you go to HGH? You wanted to get big?
I just went to an organization that was like, we know the right, way to get you like, and I was like, I want to get like, kind of like shredded, but like, imagine a wrestler with dad bod who still kind of like the wrestler, like a little bit of your look, but still. Yeah. And I did it. It was working fine, but then I just finally just did not look like, I didn't look healthy, and I definitely didn't look like myself. And there's pictures out to this day that people sometimes send me and be like, dude, what the fuck did you do? Did you do like plastic surgery? And I'm like, no, I just, my jowls fucking, got muscles on muscles. So now it's just like, I eat pretty well, and I swim. My fiance does certified Pilates instructor, so I do her class twice a week. I play with Harlan Williams. I play racquetball twice a week.
Harlan, okay.
And I swim every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's a unique guy, man. Harlan.
Love him.
Yeah.
Harlan Williams, I put in Employee of the Month. And I put him in the movie because, again, honestly, I was like, I don't know if this movie's I don't know how this is going to do.
Yeah.
But I want to surround myself with funny people, so at least I know that we're being funny, and I can look at it later. So I got Andy Dick in there. I got Harlan Williams. They were amazing. They were incredibly funny. Dax brought so many ideas to the table. But what's interesting about Harlan is, for 10 years, the Harlan I knew, even leading up to that movie, was the Harlan I'm sure you knew, which is like, he's just, his brain operates on a different level. He comes up with all this stuff off the cuff, and I would see him at the club for years. And when I'd come into the lobby, and I'd be kind of like, when I'm off stage, I'm pretty like, I'm just off. I'm like, I'm on when I'm on stage. Some people are on all the time. He was on all the time. Yeah. Hey there, buddy. I want to take some Cheez-Its there, buddy, and crumple them up in your hair, and then I want to put a sailor's hat on, and then he'd make like a, and he'd do a weird sound. And he was like that for years with me, and I tried to have a normal conversation. And every single time I would ask him a serious question, he'd go into this character. And then after like 10 years, and after the movie, I was in the lobby one night, and I remember he just walked in, and I was so used to it, I was like, hey, what's up, man? And he was like, how's it going there, buddy? And it was like a different tone. It was like after 12 years, he finally broke character, and I was like, Harlan. And he's like, yeah, buddy. I go, you want to get dinner? And he's like, yeah, what do you like to eat? And I thought he was going to be like, I like Cheez-Its in the hair, buddy, and then I'm going to... And after that, our friendship just like took off, and he was a real champion of mine. No matter what era I was in, up or down, that guy's always been a real solid in my life. I love him.
Yeah. He and Tom Green are really two peas in a pod.
Another one. I love that guy, man.
Yeah.
Great dude. Just, it doesn't always need to be about show business or comedy. Sometimes it's just a nice word out of nowhere. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so epic.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. Well, we have some viewers to send to Above It All.
Yeah. I hope that they have a great time with it. I'm really, really stoked.
Yeah. I wonder...
Can we see your balls on camera?
See the right one. The left one's probably asleep. I put the left one in a little cozy.
It's cuddling my other ball.
The right one has a tattoo. That's how fucking like that one thought it was on a solo mission, so it just like was like, all right, I got this.
It's like the twins in the belly. One ate the other one and it got bigger.
Yeah.
I describe it as like the small one is the moon of Endor and the big one's the Death Star.
I'm into it.
A little bit too much on the visual on that one, but
all right. Quick question: should we hold this until the week after October 26th so that it's absolutely on DaneCook.com?
It'll be on DaneCook.com for sure next Thursday, Friday. So it's up to you.
Next Thursday.
I'm totally, down with whatever you guys want to do. If you think it's better for next week, cool. If you want to hold it because of your own agenda, then it's all good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even have an agenda,
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
We're good.
And okay, so social media handles, anything else that we want to promote?
Everything is pretty much the hub of all my social media. I like TikTok.
TikTok, wow.
I'm on TikTok.
MySpace.
Am I still on MySpace? I wonder if it's still somewhere. Do you think that I could somehow Tequila is still in there, just walking around?
For sure.
I wish it was someplace that you could go in and log into those old messages. Everything is pretty much the hub. I like TikTok because I like their live program.
Yeah.
Like when you go live, you feel like your fans are really finding you in real time. So Dane Cook, pretty much on everything, but TikTok is where it's at.
At Dane Cook on all the social media platforms, danecook.com.
For the special and all the other tour info for 2023, man. I hope we're crossing paths and we can check out each other's gigs. That would be really fun.
Above it all is something, it sounds so fucking crazy to film.
Let's just edit that you've already seen it and just be like, dude, it's fucking awesome.
I mean,
It's the best I've ever seen.
Give me that link, and when I film the intro to this podcast, I can say
I'll send it tonight.
I hadn't seen it before, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
I'll send it tonight.
Dude, thank you for the love and support over the years, and you look great.
Thanks,
you
bud.
fucking sound great. I'm
You too,
super
man.
stoked.
You look great and you're killing it. So
Well,
continued success to you, Wendy, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for
this
my
was
career.
Awesome. What's my cut?
Man, I had Wendy the whole time. Such a good girl.
That was great.
That was fun.
Oh, man.
Yeah, dude. If you don't love Dane Cook now, then you're just a bad person. Because what a great guy. And again, I cannot ever stop feeling grateful for how much he helped me launch what's now a crazy career in comedy. I'm on my own tour bus over here, and I credit Dane Cook for launching me onto this path. Really, really grateful for him, and I'm really, really grateful for you. Scott Randolph has been on tour with me for the last week or so. And we keep saying it, man. Something about this podcast is clicking. It's blowing up. People are hounding Scott Randolph for photos. It's crazy. Chicks are like, man, I love Scott Randolph. I'm like, well, he is single. I am not. I love you. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Thank you to everybody who mentions the street team after my shows. Can't get enough of it. Super grateful. I love you all, and thank you for watching. Yeah.